Well, hi, my name is Chris McClure, and I wanted to just do a brief training with you today and help you become a person of influence and really look at what does that mean in your life. Um, Many times people don't see themselves as leaders, and I find that to be a shame because I believe that everybody's a leader. And first of all, that becomes we have to lead at least one person in our life, and that's ourselves. So even if you are a leader of one, you have to lead yourself first. You have to lead well. But all of us in reality are leading other people. And here's why. And it's because of this, that leadership is influence. So today I want to help you understand 10 key elements of influence. I want you to receive some key takeaways that you can apply immediately. I want you to learn lessons that you can pass along to other leaders in your organization or in your life, in your family. Because it's not just enough, in my opinion, to learn something, but you need to be able to learn and teach other people. The greatest experts in the world are those who teach, because when you learn something, it's you elevate your knowledge base to a certain level. But when you teach it, you multiply that, because when you have to take it and share it with somebody else, it absorbs inside of you so much more. You own it. You own that information. You own that knowledge. You own what needs to be said. John Maxwell talks about the law of influence in his great classic book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He says the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so that's why I know you're a leader, because you have influence with people. It may be your husband, it may be your wife, it may be your children, it may be your neighbors, it may be your coworkers, it may be your employees, it may be um, you might coach a little league team or a soccer team in your community, and you have young kids that are following you. You have influence. I have been fortunate over the years to coach my kids' soccer and baseball teams and basketball teams, and it really hit me recently that I have these young minds, these young kids in my life that I can influence. And am I going to be a good influence on their life? Am I going to help them really grow and become better at life skills and their sports skills, or am I going to be a negative influence? And I have to be intentional about that. So we all have influence in our lives with the people around us. So I want to walk you through 10 key principles and really help you think about this today in this brief training. So first of all, a person of influence has integrity with people. If you don't have integrity, you can't influence somebody else. So what does it mean to have integrity? Well, in my definition of integrity, it would be that you do what you say. You don't just say what you're going to do and then slough it off. You actually follow through. I think it has to do with being the same person in public as you are in private. Can people depend on you publicly and privately? And can they depend on you from situation to situation? Are you going to be one way with one group of people and another way with another group of people? Or do they know that you're going to be the same person no matter who you're with? So without integrity, there's no way you're going to have influence. And to grow in integrity, you need to make sure that you are growing and you are being consistent and the same person in each and every environment, each and every situation. Secondly, a person of influence nurtures other people. This is huge, because if you are willing to nurture somebody, if you're willing to nurture their skills, the abilities that you see in them, their craft, whatever they're working on, if you will help nurture them, you will gain influence, because they will see that you value them enough to help them become better at what they're doing. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to become better at what they do. I'm sure there's people out there that don't really care. But when you're in a growth-minded environment like I am, when you're around people who are willing to watch a training video like this, who are willing to be coached, who are willing to be led and spoken to, and that are willing to pick up a book and read to grow, then you're with people that need to be nurtured and want to be nurtured. And so if you will do that for them, you will gain influence with them. So nurture what you see in other people. The next thing is that a person of influence has faith in people. The question is this: do you believe in people? Do you believe in the people who you lead? Do you believe in your kids? Do you believe in your spouse? Do you believe in your community members? Do you believe in your employees? Do you believe in your coworkers? Because when you show belief in people and that you have faith in them, then you grow an influence. Not everybody's going to hit a home run. We know that. Sometimes we try, we swing, we miss, we fail, right? We strike out. But do you give up on them, or do you still say, you know what? I know that you might have struck out on that one, but I believe that you're going to be successful. My greatest growth over the years has come because I've had people in my life who have said that they believe in me, even though I may not even believe in myself. That when they've said to me, I see potential in you, and here's what I think you ought to do to grow in this area, that motivates me to want to get better, because it's telling me that somebody cares enough and they believe in me. They have this faith in me that I can achieve something that I don't even, in my brain yet, I don't even grasp it yet. But they do. They see farther than I do right now. They gain influence in my life, and I trust them. The next thing is a person of influence listens to people. This is huge, because here's the thing. How good of a listener are you? When I ask that question to the people I speak to and coach, most of the time people have to admit they're not very good listeners. Most of the time people admit that they tend to want to speak more than listen. Even when they're supposedly listening, they're really preparing for their next statement to say in the conversation. It's been said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, that we should listen twice as much as we speak. And I really believe that, because if we will listen, we can learn so much from people. And by listening to people, it shows that we value them. It shows that we care about them. It shows that we want their best. People are hungry for people to listen to them. We're in a culture now with social media and all the tools and resources online that we have, that it's so one way. I can tweet anything. I can post anything on Facebook. I can send an email out. I can do a video like this, and it's all one way, right? But when you're sitting down across the table with somebody and you're genuinely asking questions and you're genuinely listening to them, the influence that you gain is incredible. And that leads to this next point, that a person of influence understands people. If you don't listen, you can't understand people. But if you start to understand people, then you gain greater influence, because you start to connect with them on a different level. You start to show them that you understand what they're going through. You show them that you are willing to learn about them, and that you will adapt how you lead them and how you treat them, because you now understand who they are. We fall into this trap so many times in our lives where we assume about people. You look in the media and there's all this bantering back and forth about this political party or that political party or this person or that person or whatever. But, I really believe that if we would sit down across the table from most people and listen to them and understand where they're coming from, that all the junk that the media is stirring up wouldn't even be there. Because we would realize we are human beings who are all trying to figure this thing called life out. And we want the best for ourselves. We want the best for our families. We want the best for our community. But we don't do this much. So if you do, you become an outlier. You become somebody that people say, you know what? I may not be listened to by many people. I may not be understood by many people, but so-and-so listens to me. They understand me, and I respect that. And I'm going to let them influence me because I see that they're willing to put the time and energy and effort into that. So listen to people. That leads to understanding, and understanding leads to greater influence. The next thing is that a person of influence enlarges people. Years ago, my kids got this little toy alligator, and the whole thing was, it was about 2 inches long. And then you put it in water for a few days and let it just soak up the water, and it kept growing and growing and growing. And it ended up being about 2 feet long. And they loved that crazy toy. And it was so simple, but you know what it was is that thing was absorbing the water, and it was growing. The material allowed it to grow and expand. And so what was pretty cool is a 2-inch long alligator became this phenomenal 2-foot long alligator that the kids loved. And see, when you are pouring into people over and over and over again, when you are investing in them, you start to enlarge them. They start to become better. They start to become bigger. They start to become more successful. and they see that you are enlarging them and you're helping them grow. And so you gain influence in their life, because it's not just about what you're getting out of it, but you're helping them become better. You're helping them be more successful. You're seeing potential in them, and you're helping them reach that potential little by little, step by step, day by day. And that makes a big difference in the lives of many people. We want to be believed in. We want to be understood. We want to be enlarged. We want to grow so that we can be a more successful and a better version of ourselves, so we can achieve more and have more and do more in life. So if you want to influence people, help enlarge them, help them grow, help them become the best possible version of themselves they can be. Next, a person of influence navigates for people. I love this. One of my business partners and I, we talk about this a lot, where there's just many times where we feel stuck on a certain level or a certain thing. And we're like, if we just had a checklist, a to-do list of what should we do next? If somebody would just give us the next 5 steps we need to take, we would take action on them. But when we get stuck and we don't know what action to take, then it's demoralizing. We start to get depressed. We start to feel like we're failures. We start to think that we're not going to break through the barriers in our lives. So if you want to influence people, navigate for them, show them, especially younger people, you've been down the road and down a path, maybe many more years ahead of them. What did you do to become successful? What did you do to succeed in your business? What did you do to become a better husband or a father, a better mother, a better wife? What did you do to have more influence in the community? Show them, tell them, give them tangible action steps to take. And you know what you'll do, not only will they be able to grow and get there, but they'll be able to do it much faster than you, because many times we learn hard lessons that we've just fumbled through in our lives, and that we wish other people would show us. But guess what? If we reach back to the generation behind us, whether that's age-wise or just experience-wise, and we can say, you know what? I want you to get to a place of success quicker than I did. I want to give you some key steps, key tools, key ideas that you can implement today so that you can be better than I was at your age, at your stage in your career, or in your stage in your journey. So you gain influence with people because you're showing them these are the steps to take. You see, John Maxwell's law of navigation says that anyone can steer a ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And when you're navigating for someone, you are charting their course. You are helping them realize the next few steps they need to take, and tell them, if you do A, B, and C, then that'll help you get to this next level. And then do D, E, and F, and keep going on and on and on. Sometimes we need to be careful. Just give people the next 3 to 5 steps they need to take, and let them take action and come back to you. You don't have to dump the truck on them. You don't have to give them the next 40 or 50 or 100 steps. Give them the next few steps. Show them, do these things, and then come back to me. We'll debrief that, and then I'll help you know what the next steps are. And you will watch them succeed at a much quicker rate than maybe you did, because you're telling them, do these things. So navigate for them. When you navigate for people, you give them just great belief in themselves and great hope that they can achieve it. Next, a person of influence connects with people. This is so important. If you want to lead people, you have to connect with them. Leadership from a distance only goes so far. Somebody sitting in the CEO office dictating to somebody 18 layers deep in the organization, there might be some mandates that people comply with, but there won't be true belief in that person as a leader. There won't be true belief in themselves as an employee or a team member, because there's a lack of connection. There's a separation. But when you connect with people and you show them that you care, that you want to know them as a human being, not just a human resource for your business, your organization, it makes all the difference in the world. You start to gain greater influence. This is hard. The higher you go up in an organization, the harder it is to connect, especially the larger the organization. So you have to work at this. Connecting with people is not easy all the time. Connecting with your kids might be easy because you're with them every day in your home. Connecting with your neighbors is a little bit harder because you're not in their home every day and you don't see them every day necessarily. Connecting with coworkers, because of the hustle and bustle of what you're doing, you have to work a little bit harder to connect with them. Connecting with people out in the community, connecting with people, in other companies or other places that are not in your path every day takes more energy to connect with them. But here's the thing. When you put forth that energy and you're interested enough to connect with them, it really does make a difference, and you start to have greater influence with them. So find ways to connect. Even if you're speaking to people, find ways to connect with them before you ever speak. And during your talk, if you're kind of interacting back and forth and you're watching what's connecting with them, points that you're making that seem to be resonating with them. If you kind of lean into those things and you realize that that's hitting a point in their life that they want to learn more about, or they need to learn more about, and you start to really speak to that, you're going to connect with them in a greater way, even if you don't know them that well personally. Pay attention to the people, connect with them, find ways to connect those dots relationally between you, but also that you start to understand their heart. And then next, a person of influence empowers people. This is really important. If you're going to lead, you need to empower people. And this is where a lot of people fall short as leaders. We don't empower people enough. What we do is we tell people, go do a job, and then we kind of kick them out of the nest to go figure it out on their own. But what happens is people struggle and they lose confidence and they fail and they don't feel like they can come back to anybody because they've not really been led through a process of development. So I love this four-step development process that I've been a part of, I've done, and I've watched over and over be successful. It's the first step is I do and you watch. When you're apprenticing somebody, you need to do it. You need to model it for them and then let them just watch. So then you can go to step 2 is I do it and you're going to help me. So you've watched me do it. Now come help me do it and get your hands dirty. Maybe you give them pieces of a project to do. Maybe you give them just a little bit of responsibility where you notice that they seem to get when you modeled it for them. But you're letting them start to help you achieve the project. And then you move to that step 3, which is you do it and then I help you. So you switch roles. Last time I did it and you helped me, and this time you get to do it and I'm going to help you where you are struggling. And you need to make sure you don't just step in too early. Let them struggle a little bit. Let them fail. Let them figure things out. And when they come to you and ask you for help, then you help them. Because this is part of the learning process. This is the development process that they need to do it on their own so that they can get more confidence, get more experience. But they also need to know that there's a safety net because you're there to help them so they don't just completely fail and fall flat on their face. And then the step 4 is that you do it and I watch. This is when you tell them, you can go do this now. You know how to do it. We've done it together. You helped me, then I helped you. I have all the confidence in the world. I believe in you. I have faith in you to go do this. So now you go do it, and I'm going to watch from a distance. I'm not abandoning you, but I'm empowering you to go and do this. When you do that for people, it gives them all sorts of confidence and credit, and they feel credible. You gain more credibility as a leader in their life. So empower people. Find ways to walk through this process. Don't throw them into the deep end of the pool and expect them to just figure it out. If you've been there and you know how to do things, walk them through this process. This doesn't have to take weeks. It doesn't have to take years. Sometimes it takes minutes. Sometimes it takes a few hours, depending on the size of the project, the scope of what it is. This is why internships are so important and valuable for students to go through, to see what is it like when you're doing this job. I learned so much through internships. I tell people all the time, my college education was great, but my internships were really where I learned how to become a leader and to do the things that mattered most. And it was because I had people invest in me through this process where I watched them, I helped them, they gave me more responsibility and they helped me. And then finally they said, okay, you're good. So go do it and come back to me if you have questions or concerns or problems. And I'm going to watch you from a distance, but it's yours. But I went through that process time and time again with people, and I felt much greater, and I grew as a leader myself. And they grew in influence because I trusted that they had my best interest in mind, that they wanted me to be successful. That's how you can grow in influence. Walk through this process with people. And then finally, a person of influence reproduces other influencers. This is really important because a lot of times we stop at just training somebody to be successful on their own. But what we need to be talking about all along the way when we're doing that empowerment process is that make them think about that someday they'll be doing that process with somebody else. Because if they will keep that in mind while they're going through the process and they're thinking about, okay, while I'm walking somebody else through this later, I might do this differently or I might do that differently. They need to innovate it for themselves to be most impactful and effective. So if you want to add followers and add people to your organization, you can do this one by one. But if you want to truly multiply the impact of your organization and multiply your impact as an individual, then you need to be able to reproduce not just other doers, but other influencers, other leaders that can go out and do it again. If you invest in 3 people, that's great. That's good addition. But if you invest in 3 people who go out now and invest in 3 other people, you multiply your impact. Your investment in those 3 individuals now multiplies to 9 others. And then that over time becomes exponential because those people are multiplying other leaders as well. So if you want to have the greatest influence, then you need to learn to walk people through the empowerment process and show them how to reproduce other leaders along the way. So I just want to just kind of go back through this acronym of influencer briefly with you. And I want you to really think about as we go through this and as you jot these notes down, where are the weak spots in your leadership? Where do you need to grow the most? Where are you strong, but you need to make sure you lean into and maximize your strength there? So first, the I is integrity with people. Then the N is you nurture other people as an influencer. F, influencers have faith in people. L, influencers listen to people. U, understands people. E, enlarges people. N, navigates for other people. C, connects with people. E, empowers people. And R, reproduces other influencers. If you will work on these 10 characteristics, these will keep you busy for a while, I promise. Because I guarantee out of 10 qualities, there's at least 2 or 3 that you probably can sit there and go, yeah, I need to grow there. And here's the thing, whether you are a young leader or a newer leader and you have just a few followers, or whether you've been leading for years and you have hundreds of followers, here's what I'm confident in. Every one of us can continue to grow to another level in each of these areas. So you may have good integrity, but how can you up-level that? How can you nurture people better? How can you have faith in people more? How can you listen to people better? How can you work to understand people, enlarge people, navigate, connect, empower, reproduce? How can you take that to that next level? You see, I'm a firm believer that we never really arrive, that until the day we die, we can continue to grow and we can continue to influence people and impact lives and really lead our organizations, lead our families, lead our communities to a much better place. We're in a world that is so divided and so divisive, but if we start to look outward and say, how do I start to influence the outcome of what's going on in our society? How do I start with my home, with my community, with my little league team, with my workplace, coworkers and employees, with my faith community? How do I grow and influence in all these areas? And when you start to do that, you will end up having greater influence and greater impact and making a greater difference in the world that you live in. I really believe in you. I believe that you have so much more in you than you even realize right now. Just like people told me years ago, read these books and work on this and keep being teachable and all these things that I heard when I was in my late teens and early 20s and then on and beyond. When I had people who saw potential in me and they invested in me and they spoke belief into me, they gained so much credibility in my life that they are people now that I still reach back to, and I stay connected to, and I learn from, and I appreciate. They've become influencers in my life, and they showed me how to be an influencer in the lives of other people. You can do that. Think about let's just think about 5 people in your life right now that you can have greater influence in. Think about them, take this acronym, write it down, and you write 5 names of people of who are you going to walk through this process more intentionally with? How are you going to show these qualities to them more and more each day. I believe you can do it. I'm confident that you have the potential to have a great impact. Hey, I would love to stay connected with you. I write a blog regularly at leadlifebig.com. There's information about my services that I offer as a coach and a trainer. And you can also reach out to me via email, chris@leadlifebig.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to answer any questions you might have. Love to set up a strategy session with you to look at what is it that you can do next to grow as a leader and as an influencer in the life of the people around you. Hey, take care. I'm glad you spent the time to invest in yourself. And now go out there, grow in these areas, and continue to invest in other people and watch how your influence grows. Take care until next time.